Is this thing on? Hello, hello.
Welcome to Open Pike Night. I'm your host, Non-T Bolds, here tonight to exact bloody vengeance upon my podmates, John and Cameron, because you will never believe what they did without me. Unless, of course, you follow us on Twitter or social media at Open Pike, in which case you do know what they did without me. Of course, my actual name is Jesse. This is Open Pike Night. And here tonight with me to grovel and apologize, I assume, primarily, is host of Green Shirt, a newbie's trek through the next generation, Cameron Harrison. Cameron, what the hell?
Oh my gosh, Jesse, it was the most amazing experience of all time. It was glorious. I am a different person on the other side of this press junket than I was going into it. And I mean, anyone who couldn't be there, I pity. Is pity the right word?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel strong enough for what I feel for them.
I can assure you that I am not the only person feeling how I am feeling right now. But I am very, very excited, of course, to share the results of said press junket that you and John so masterfully attended. And I do have to just throw out there, I don't, and still don't know what a junket was. I don't know why it's called that. I don't really like that word. But what it means is,
I always thought it was just a coat that you put on your penis.
Oh,
a junk jacket.
That's kind of brilliant. I don't know if we could do this without John.
Yes,
Wow.
John is not here, so you can take solace. And John is missing out on this equally enjoyable experience of talking about said press junket.
I mean, okay, so Cameron,
I'm the only one getting it from both ends.
Which again is your favorite place to be. So explain to the wonderful viewers and listeners, who did you guys talk to? Because like Open Pike Night has talked to a lot of people that are involved with Star Trek Strange New Worlds, right? That's what we do.
Sure.
We're the Star Trek Strange New Worlds podcast, where your personal logs are the prime directive. So how could this be huge for us?
Well, we talked to the entire, as you said, bridge crew, however you wanted to find bridge crew. If you look at a poster of Strange New Worlds, we talked to the people that were on it. We talked to Captain Christopher Pike, Anson Mount, Rebecca Romaine. We talked to I'm blanking. We talked to Uhura. We talked to Lon. We talked to Mabenga. We talked to Erica Ortegas. We talked to everyone. We didn't get to talk to Carol Kane, was the one kind of big actor from season 2 that we didn't get to talk to.
Cameron is trying to say they spoke with Anson Mount, Rebecca Romaine, Ethan Peck, Jess Bush, Celia Gooding,
That's it.
Chrissy Chong, Babs Alusin Mokun, and of course, show favorite Melissa Navia.
Absolutely.
That's quite a list of people, my friend. I
just didn't want to butcher Babs's last name.
I was sitting at my day job, and I don't want to say that I was seething, because I honestly was not seething. I was not seething. I'm seething now. But as it was happening, I was just giddy. And, to the people in my real life, there was kind of no reason for that. So it was just like, he seems to be having a great day. But just hearing that list and seeing the message from producer John in the group chat, like, hey, we got approved for this press junket. We have credentials. Like, we're going to interview these people. It blew my mind. And then to hear afterward from you guys how it went, I was so happy. And I am so happy. I continue to be so happy to share, again, not just the audio of these interviews with you, but the video as well. This is a huge episode of Open Pike Night. So we are so glad to have you here with us. Now, as we mentioned, this was a really quick thing. It kind of popped up. You may have noticed we didn't put out a call to action. We didn't ask for questions. So more than just I missed out on this. Is that how to correctly phrase that? A lot of people missed out on a thing that we feel like Open Pike Night, is kind of built for. So we're just going to invite all these people back. And to that point, we have Celia coming back. So just
big announcement. Yep.
Yes. Keep that in the back of your mind, because you're going to get a chance to talk to Uhura.
Especially
like I didn't.
When you hear how delightful she was in upcoming said interview.
This is so good. So I really cannot wait to get into this. And to that point, we're just going to do it. So Cameron, who
Yes.
was first on your Star Trek Walk of Fame?
Right. Well, John and I scrambling to prepare that morning. We both had day jobs, so we're getting our our questions written down on a doc. We go into this waiting room at the scheduled time for our tech check. There's a bunch of other journalists in there. Some have webcams, some don't. Everyone's just kind of staring awkwardly. There was one moment where people showed each other their dogs. That's we go into our tech check, and then the person says, "Oh, great, guys sound good. Is Jesse coming?" And we said, "Nope, we kicked him out. It's just us." And they did ask about you, Jesse. They did. And
That means a lot to me. Thank you.
yeah. And she goes, "Great. Well, just come back here in an hour and a half. You guys don't start till 2:50." So we're like, "Great, we've got more time."
Hurry up and wait.
And we come back, and then yes, we hurry up and wait, and we get our email to go talk to Melissa and Babs.
Hi, I'm John T. Bolds with Open Pike Night podcast.
I'm Cameron Harrison from the same.
What's going on?
Nice to meet you guys.
Good to meet
Great
you,
to see-
Babs.
Yeah. Melissa, great to see you again. Hey, we heard that we talked to several of the writers, Dave and Akela. They told us about a D&D game that the writers did at the beginning of season 1, getting ready for that. What kind of stuff did the cast do to gel and form a team and form a crew for the new Enterprise?
Oh my goodness. I think I mean we're going back a ways. Like time is such a fuzzy thing these days, but like Babs backed me up on any of this. But I think because season 1 was shot, during the madness of COVID.
Lockdown.
Yeah, lockdown. We had quarantine restrictions. We also had border restrictions. So really like our world was Strange New Worlds. And so I think we all bonded very quickly. And yeah, we weren't able to really do like restaurants or anything. But we just bonded a lot on set.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Yeah. Babs, it's great to meet you. For your season 1, you played, okay. Is it Mbenga or Mbenga? Because we hear both on stream.
Mbenga.
Mbenga. All right. In
Mbenga.
season 1, you played Mbenga in a much more reserved fashion, practicing humility, patience. And season 2 is really starting off with a lot more action. And Mbenga is in the center of a lot of those scenes. How do you balance that subtlety and humility from season 1 with the bravado and intensity of the fight scenes you get in season 2?
The action hero you become.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a different side of him. It's a man with a past, with a history. And some of that is simply being revealed, being taken along for that mission, and running into what they ran into and having to deal with those individuals, those K individuals. And so really it's another layer of Mbenga, and we're going to see a few more layers of him, and just reveal a lot more. There's a lot there to be mined. So
we look forward to it.
We'll be doing that in different theaters.
All right. Well, Melissa, last time we were chatting, you were in the middle of writing your Talkhouse article, which once it was released, it seemed, at least on our end on Twitter, like it turned a lot of Eric Ortega's fans into Melissa Navia fans. What was the reaction to that article like on your end?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I remember talking to you guys about it. It was such a difficult article for me to write because it was about Brian, my late partner, and it was about Star Trek. And it was probably, I'll go ahead and say, I've written a lot of things in my life. It was the hardest thing I've ever written. But it was also perhaps the most beautiful thing I've ever written, because I think it spoke to that time in my life that, and I'm still in that time where it was just like, here I am doing season 2 of this phenomenal hit show. And I'm also experiencing the most difficult time in my life because of grief and loss and feeling like I've lost half of myself, and also fame, right? So doing all that and able to do it really because of the people I was surrounded by, people like Babs, people in my cast, and also my family and friends, and then meeting awesome fans like you guys. When that article came out, hearing from people that they were so thankful that I was so vulnerable and open about grief, that was beautiful. But it also, I kept going back to this whole idea that I don't think I'm necessarily being that, I don't think I know I'm being vulnerable, but for me, it's so important to talk about grief, because it also gives me the opportunity to talk about the person that not only did I quote unquote lose? I still have him, but I'm able to talk about the person that I have and that I had and that I have. And that has also like given fans this, you know, kind of this doorway to let me know about how Star Trek has helped them through their grief, how my story has helped them process what they're going through. And that is something that I am going to be talking about for the rest of my life. This is absolutely not the platform that I wanted, but this is the platform that I've been given in terms of grief. And then together with Strange New Worlds, yeah, something like the Talk House article was a point that I'm so happy I was given the opportunity to do that. And you know, every month is a new adventure. Season 2 coming out is still going to be very emotional, because what you're watching in season 2 is me at the absolute most difficult point in my entire life, and then also having to act and to become Ortegas, which it was more difficult to do, right? Infinitely more. But I did it. And so I think people who understand grief and who keep telling me that Star Trek, you know, has been such a huge part of that, they're going to see somebody who literally was at the bottom and is able to overcome it. And Star Trek is a huge part of that.
All right.
Yeah.
Babs, Melissa, thank you very much for your time. Hope to talk to you again
Thank
sometime.
you.
Look
Thank you,
forward to
guys.
seeing
Thank
you
you
in the
guys.
show.
Good to meet you.
Thank you.
All right, that was
care.
the first one down. Yes, they are all very fast. I think the words I used were fast, fun, and stressful. We went in with 5 prepared questions and maybe some bonus if we had time, and got through what that was 3, I think.
I would have been freaking out. We would have had to do one question a piece, right? And like
Mhm.
the whole time that I'm starting my question, you guys would have to be like, you have to ask just ask the
We're saying.
question, ask the question, go right now. And I'm just like, oh.
Jesse would be halfway through the first question, the 1 minute time limit would be up.
Like, no doubt. I really like to contextualize things, which actually I think fits here, because Melissa Navia is a storyteller, just
Mhm.
born, right? Like, she can build a narrative, and I hope
Yeah.
that we get more writing from her, because wow. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I obviously, for our listeners, probably know what her Talk House article was, but obviously not everyone who watches this will know. So great job contextualizing that into your answer, Melissa. Yeah, I mean, she was a pro. Babs's answer was very good. I loved his little K individual tease.
yeah, there's some stuff that like it seems like it was not super clear what was allowed to be mentioned, but I think these days, in the days of Marvel spoilers, most actors just prefer to err on the side of caution, which is, you know, part of why we really try and pull those one-word teases out of people for season 2 for our interviews. We'll get back to that in a minute. My jealousy meter is definitely rising. So let's go ahead and, you know, stoke that fire a little bit by playing the clip of you and John speaking with Anson Mount and Rebecca Romaine.
Whoa.
And
I don't need to introduce themselves.
I
These
mean,
are
name it.
troublemakers. How
And
you
you can
doing,
do
guys?
Good to see you.
Kissing the goy.
So,
Yep.
So Anson, you have said in the past that you enjoy oh shit roles. Was there an aspect of Captain Pike portraying him that made you say, oh shit?
of course, yeah, in a variety of ways. Number one, there are huge shoes to fill. Number two, there was so little to go on because there was just that, the cage. And also there was no direct hook. I tend to be sort of an outside in actor, and I play characters, right? And with Chris, strangely, he's a lot like me. And I don't know how to just sort of do that on camera. I'm used to sort of stretching for the character. This one is a different approach to finding his boots.
Excellent. Rebecca, you're right at the top of the crew and right at the top of the call sheet there. Are there any similarities between your personal leadership style and your character's leadership style? And how does that translate to working with the younger crew members?
That's a nice question. I would say we share a solid work ethic. I would say a level of professionalism, practicality. I like to be efficient with work and practical, and I would say that I share that with Una, those qualities.
What is something you each have learned from working with the other one for 2 seasons now? We'll let Anson go first.
I've learned that Rebecca has an incredibly fun husband. and that no, I love hanging out with Rebecca, but I also love hanging out with Jerry, and the two of them together are just a hoot.
There's got to be some rivalry, some Star Trek rivalry there. Is there?
There's so much rivalry all the
Ooh.
time, and it's not just Star Trek related. My husband and I are competitive about everything. Like, how long before our kids call us and ask us to pick them up? What's the over under on how late we're going to stay at the party? I mean, we bet on everything. We are so competitive. Yeah, it's a friendly competition, but it never ends.
What's something you learned from working with Anson, Rebecca?
We share a similar
He's a fun
sense.
wife. He's a fun wife.
Very fun wife. We share a similar sense of humor, and I feel like we've really discovered. I love doing two-handers with him. These scenes where it's just the two of us. There's a groundedness that I really appreciate in Anson, and I feel like it inspires me to deliver a similar level of groundedness. It's almost like playing things under to give it gravitas, and he really has that in spades.
Excellent.
Well, filmmaking is a collaborative art form, but acting is all about making choices. What's a choice each of you made for your characters that no one can take credit for but you? A line you delivered, a delivery, a choice, a characteristic?
In season 2 of Discovery, in the flash forward scene, where Pike meets his future self, it was very important to me. The way that it was written from present Pike's point of view only, and it's very important to me that scene be for both Pikes. Because I'm hoping at some point we get to revisit that scene, and so we're going to need that.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
Rebecca.
How about you, Rebecca?
Mine happened inadvertently. It happened when the writers were writing Q&A, the short trek that I did with Ethan for Spock's first time on the Enterprise when we got stuck on the turbo lift together. The writers asked me if I had any hidden skills that they would never know about, and I listed a few, one being I'm a very good badminton player.
I want that
Jerry has yet to beat me at badminton. Just want to say that. He's never in 19 years beaten me at badminton. The other is that I'm very familiar with Gilbert and Sullivan. I used to be in the Gilbert and Sullivan troupe as a kid, and have been in a lot of Gilbert and Sullivan operettas, and that made it into the short trek. They had me perform a Gilbert and Sullivan song, and I never in a million years thought that Gilbert and Sullivan and Star Trek would come together, but they have at this point.
Well
Rebecca
done.
Hanson, yeah. Thank you very much for chatting with us. It's great to talk to you.
Thanks,
Take care.
guys.
Thank you.
So much to say about that one. I don't even know where to start. Where do I start, Jesse?
I hate you.
They are delightful. They are pros, obviously pros. They obviously enjoy working together very much. God, what I would do to just spend a day with them and Jerry O'Connell. That would be the greatest day on earth, right?
I think this has been mentioned before, but like, I really hope Ransom gets to come with on the crossover episode, because how cool would that be? I really think that would be cool. Again, like, I am well known on our show for being a little emotional, for freaking out about stuff, for getting a little starstruck. I don't know how you guys pulled that off. Like, well done. That was really impressive.
Tried not to think of Mystique the whole time. Just leave Mystique out of my mind. Just
Seriously.
Watching someone who maybe plays number 1 on a TV show I watch sometimes, not a big deal.
To tie it back to like that thing, the being like, oh my God, this person is directly in front of me. When we met Anson Mount in Portland for Fan Expo, I remember like as soon as I was within like 5 feet of him, I was like, oh, I don't have any, I can't speak. Like I'm not, I can't even think. And it's like, we've talked, as we mentioned, with some big folks before, there's captain energy. that is real and pervasive. And he spoke about how he and Pike have some similarities there, so that kind of doesn't surprise me. But like, I guess what I'm saying is I didn't expect to be starstruck, like especially on a secondary level. But wow, I'm a little starstruck. He was sitting in an actual sunbeam. Like,
it's true. It's true.
what?
It's true. And yeah. What was I gonna? Oh yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be in this version when you cut things together. Maybe when you look at the individual streams, on the one we just played, it looked like it cut off when we first come in. We're supposed to say our names and what outlet we're with, and immediately Instant Mount goes, "Oh, I know these guys. Yeah, they're troublemakers." And I think John and I were both like, "Okay, sort of at ease, but sort of like put off our foot now too at the same time." And then I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure he's the one who got us on the junket. It sounds like he didn't have time to do a full interview with us. Maybe when we said we like to do 2-hour interviews, he balked a little bit, but he got us on the junket list. So hey, Anson, thank you very much for that. I mean, the fact that he put us on there and then recognized us when we came on was kind of yeah.
Cameron, Open Pike Night has Pike on it. Like,
It does. I've noticed.
what? It's so crazy. I can't even.
And then yeah, they were great. They were great. Loved all their answers. I thought they gave great answers, full of energy. I mean, part of the reason I think we were able to manage it without being starstruck is they were very kind and sweet and welcoming, and like they really do kind of put you at ease.
Yeah. I love Star Trek, and I love the people on Star Trek.
It's true.
The next pair of Star Trek stars that you sat down with are one Ethan Peck and one Jess Bush.
That's who we did.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey, well, Ethan, let's start with you. Spock from season 1 is a very different Spock from the one we start seeing in season 2. At least a Vulcan would probably say they're very different. Did you have a different way of slipping into the character of Spock for season 2?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Same method?
At this point, I'm not sure. I do my best to check in with the Leonard Nimoy voice in my head and make sure that the musicality of his speech is proper. And I always approach different situations and scenarios as Spock with a lot of curiosity and I guess logic and outcomes, whatever comes out. But actually I haven't seen any of season 2 yet, so I'll have to check it out and see how different it is.
Jesse, you just took a nice long road trip. Your followers noticed online. I hail from Utah. What was your favorite part of the state as you drove through?
Oh my goodness, Utah is amazing. Utah is so beautiful. I stopped in because I was kind of on a bit of a timeline.
Yeah, you were flying.
I had to get to the other side in a timely manner, but I left enough time so that I could choose a couple of spots to stop, and Utah was one of them. I spent a day in Zion National Park, found a nice little stream to lie by, and roll around in the mud, and that was excellent. And the other place that I stopped that literally blew my mind and brought me to my knees and made me cry was the Badlands in South Dakota. I've been there before.
Oh, yes.
Oh my goodness. That place is something else. It's like it's from another planet. It was really, really, really powerful there.
Jessica, what's one thing you've learned from Ethan during the production of this?
I think how to, at the same time, be completely there for the scene partner, but also looking after what you need. So like making sure you're keeping boundaries around what you need energy-wise and focus-wise while not taking away from what the other person needs. I think that's been a really valuable thing that I've taken away from Ethan.
Excellent. Ethan, how about you?
Yeah. Probably whatever you got to do to be prepared, whatever feeling you need to have in order to show up in the take is requires some bravery, and you gotta have to experience it. This is such an actory thing. It's kind of hard to explain and articulate outside of context. But basically to move through the emotions that are coming up in order to arrive where you need to be on camera.
Excellent. Jess,
Great.
Ethan, thank you very much. It's been great talking to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know, so I mean, this is kind of some behind the scenes stuff too. Like this was our first junket, and you know, John and I prepped a lot. Like I said, we had that bonus time to prep some, and but after our first one, we're like, wow, 5 minutes goes by fast, and then we're kind of rolling like what questions are working, which ones aren't. This is where we discovered that the cast hasn't watched the episodes yet. So maybe assuming that they're super familiar with some of the stuff in season 2, not the best assumption to make, we've learned.
Cameron, should we contextualize this by explaining to folks what we mean by that?
I guess I was wondering that as I was speaking, Jesse. I know we've kind of been tight-lipped, but yes, we have screeners. We've seen some of season 2. You more than me. I'm still working my way through.
It's true. I've watched every episode we have access to at least one time. I really tried to make them last. You guys, it was been what, like, it's been 4 or 5 days. Like, I didn't do it all at one time like everyone out there is assuming I did.
It's amazing. Well, it's because they dropped on your wife's birthday weekend, I think.
Yes.
And I can't imagine, like, you deserve world's best husband mug for that, for being able to not just say, sorry, honey, our reservations are canceled. I'm sitting down and watching season 2.
Well, I appreciate that deeply, but Cameron, as you well know, the source of my strength is said wife. So there's no way that would ever work. And
she powers your warp core.
I also prefer to be living for these podcasts. So, that's a big part of it.
We all appreciate it. Yes. So yes, you can hit us with your season 2 questions, but we are embargoed to say anything until we'll release an episode giving our non-spoiler review before season 2 comes out.
And if you follow us on social media at Open Pike, basically anywhere, Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram, you may have noticed we stopped publicly speculating on stuff from the trailers, and that's part of that reason. We can't do that anymore because we know what those trailers are about. So this is one of those things that, like, when we started the show, we were like, wouldn't that be so cool if one day it happened? And we are over the moon. We are up in the stars, and we're going to grab those stars and bring them down to sit in our spotlight and answer your questions, much as this next pair has done, Celia Rose Gooding and Chrissy Chong.
Buckle up.
Hey, Christina, you have gone ahead and joined the ranks of sci-fi badasses like Dr. River Song, who you might have a little connection with. And who did you draw your inspiration from for La'an, from other characters?
The first thing that came into my head was my dad. I don't know why, but I'm going to run with it. My dad is, I guess in some way I'm channeling my dad. I guess I'm discovering that right now. But
we'll send you a bill.
Is this therapy? No, definitely my dad is very fierce, and like, as growing up as a kid, he was very kind of like, you don't say no to my dad. And so I definitely have gotten that part of La'an from him. But then I guess the heart of obviously is, that is me, little me. The heart, the wanting to connect, the longing, the yearning to connect, but not being able to.
Excellent.
Celia, so how is Ensign Uhura different from Cadet Uhura? And did you make any acting choices specifically to kind of convey that difference?
Yeah, totally. I would say Ensign Uhura is a bit more established. She while she may not have the full faith in herself yet, she has faith in the reality of the fact that her superior officers have chosen to promote her instead of demote her. And so she definitely walks around a bit more straight-backed, a bit more understanding that now that she has people who have to answer to her instead of her having to answer to everyone else. But she still has that very real human feeling of she doesn't all the way know yet. And I think the slow burn of playing a character and every step of the way that it took for her to get to the like legendary lieutenant that we all know and love. I would say we're not all the way there yet, but she's definitely a step up from her mentality that she was at as a cadet.
Well, so speaking of that, both of your relationship is also different from season one. The La'an, her relationship, is that something? Did you two talk about that behind the scenes, or did you just play the scene as written? Like how did you develop that relationship
From season one?
from season one to season two?
How does our relationship change in season two, Celia?
If my memory serves me properly, I believe that I can say where Uhura is at in her relationship with La'an. I think Uhura, like after season one, after the ringer that La'an puts Uhura through, I like to think that Uhura has a bit more relaxed nature about La'an now. I think she doesn't see her as this like incredibly scary person anymore who's waking her up at 5 a.m. to do drills and turning over stones.
It's all coming back to me now. It's all coming back to me.
Yep.
Now, remember when you stand in episode 2, you kind of stand up to me and I was a bit annoyed at that. I was like, Valerie, no, she wouldn't do that. And Valerie was like, we need to make this happen. I was like, happen.
Yeah.
The scene I'm talking about. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
No, yeah. And I think, obviously when she finds out in episode 1 of season 2, she finds out she's an ensign and she's like, oh, really?
Yeah, and even in that moment, like that was one of the moments where I think Uhura felt the most pride of like, it's like when you win over like the coach that gives you tough love and they finally give you a compliment for the first time, you feel like you've like ascended to nirvana. I think that's how Uhura feels now when La'an gives her a nod and really acknowledges how hard she's working, because that's who she's trying to impress, really.
Excellent.
Well, thank
Celia,
you.
Christina, thank you very much for
You've been a
joining us.
delight.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. I meant it. They were so delightful. Like, so delightful.
Wow.
Yeah, again, just made you feel at ease, made you feel like, oh yeah, we're just hanging out and chatting. The moment, I mean, Celia has an amazing laugh, and when I made her laugh,
that was great.
I've been glowing since.
It's like one meaningful interaction with a person that you admire for whatever reason is
Grammy winner.
Dude, it just goes so far. I mean, Grammy winner and Tony winner.
Tony,
right?
I think so. Yeah, halfway to an EGOT. I mean, and I made her laugh.
For your consideration, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Emmys people. I don't know who you are, but we will make a concerted effort. Is it a campaign? I don't know what it's called.
Campaign. Yeah.
We will start a campaign.
But yes, they were great. Again, they haven't watched the episodes yet, but that moment where Chrissy remembers what I'm talking, because I love her face too, which is like, what the fuck's this guy talking about? Celia, why don't you handle this one? And then when she remembers, I can't wait till we get Chrissy on the show. But I'm so excited to have Celia on the show because they were both amazing.
There is not a single one of these, and not that we've had one of these or that we have met any of these people, but I mean, seriously, these people are professionals and they're doing an amazingly professional job. Like, I've never been to a press junket either, Cameron, but I assume they didn't used to just be like a bunch of regular people at their house talking to the people, right?
I was thinking about that. I kind of wanted to ask that, like, especially the season pros like Anson and Rebecca. Back when Rebecca was doing press junkets for X-Men, like it was in a hotel with only, professional journalists, I guess we would call them, people with passes coming through. I mean, otherwise the same thing, but yeah. And now it's just yahoos like me and John coming in from our house, podcasters, and wondering what that's like for them. I mean, maybe they're getting a wider breadth of questions.
And that's a very good point, because I've always felt that the most honest questions do come from the biggest fans. I mean, that's That's part of why we hired me. But I don't want people out there to get the wrong impression, okay? Like, I didn't come away from this empty-handed. I'm still going to get to see and meet all these people. I have met some of them already. And Paramount graciously paid for the lunch of one of us, and because I wasn't able to go, Cameron and John gave me the free lunch code.
What was your lunch, Jesse?
I don't have an account with that app, but I'm going to get one and I'm going to use it, and I will tell you later.
Oh, I hope it's not like time sensitive.
Even if it is, I'm totally fine with that. My point is that like it actually was the sweetest gesture, because like it was a last minute thing where I was like, I may be able to swing this, I may not. Real life always takes precedence is something we've said before here on the show, and that's what happened. So just to have like the smallest, like, hey, here, take this. I almost started crying. You all know that I cry at the drop of a hat, but it was like, for you and John to have the presence of mind on a day like that, to also just be like, hey man, here's this thing, like, we feel bad, is huge. And it actually goes to a larger point that I want to make, which is I was telling people the whole time, mostly my family and a couple of select coworkers, like, I am not bummed out about this in the slightest, because I know Cameron and John are knocking it out of the park, and this is going to be some of the coolest interviews that we've ever had, and it's going to lead to some of the coolest interviews that we've ever had. I have high confidence in the show and in you guys and in our community, so I'm really not worried about this, and I'm so excited to share this very special episode with everybody. Cameron, how effing dare you?
Well, Jesse, I want to say, we were talking about, we were all mind melding for questions in the Discord room, our private open Pike Night chambers.
It's quite bespoke.
And you said something. You're like, you know what? I'm so happy that I don't have to worry about this, that I have total confidence in you and John to go in there and knock it out of the park. And that, I mean, sincerely, I think that kind of infused us with that confidence to do said park knocking of out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, that meant a lot too. That it really did.
I really feel like, not to be whatever, but this is one of my favorite parts of our show. Like, us, in addition to our community, really are kind of like a starship crew. Like, we hold each other up. We do the things that the other can't do. We specialize where we need to, and it's kind of a well-oiled machine at this point. And I'm so excited for season 2, because season 2 is what, 2 weeks? It's 14 days away. It's probably 13 by the time you're listening to or watching this. That means that you need to get into question asking mode. And a really good way to do that is just go back and listen to season 1 of Open Pike Night, so that you know what kind of questions are getting asked, things like that, because you want to be unique. But I have to say, I'm so grateful for this opportunity to share this with our audience. And I'm so grateful for that audience, because that's kind of how we ended up in this position, the kind of position where you do get to go to press junkets for Strange New Worlds. You get screener copies, things that we couldn't do on our own, things that we do because of the strength of the community. I think that's my favorite part of Open Pike Night, and all the Star Trek stuff, obviously, because holy shit.
So 2 things real quick. One, yes. Oh my God, it is 14 days away. You're right, guys. We've got some pretty amazing guests lined up to come talk about Strange New World season 2 with us. I can't wait to start sharing, and we'll probably put out a list for the first few pretty soon. Not all the slots are filled. If there's a Star Trek loving, let's say celebrity, or anyone you want to hear talk about Strange New Worlds with us, let us know. Shout them out on Twitter. Let us know in Discord. However you want to communicate with us. We're looking to fill a few more slots. Also, yes, Jesse, I do hope that we get to talk to the rest of these people for longer. And maybe the best way to do that, everyone, if you want to hear a branded Open Pike Night interview with these folk, tag them in the videos that we post. Say, hey, this was great, Celia. Well, Celia's coming on, so you don't have to tag her. Ethan, Chrissy, this is great. I'd love to hear you talk more about your career in Star Trek with Open Pike Night. And
I think that's kind of the best idea you've had in the last 22 hours at least.
I'll take it.
You do kind of crank them out. So
ever since that joke that made Celia laugh, probably the best thing I've said.
we're gonna get that bronzed and put
Yep.
on a
Put on my wall. Just
like a
we'll send you
Starship
the bill.
dedication plaque.
It's gonna hang on my wall.
How do we trademark a phrase? It's like nobody else says that, right?
It's
Like,
not
we
even an
can-
original joke. I know. Standing on the
maybe-
shoulders of giants over here.
That's what it was. They appreciated your classical comedy stylings. They
That's
were
right,
like,
that's
"Oh,
right.
this guy has studied Buster Keaton. I'm ready for this." Like that. I gotta assume
All
that's
right.
what happened.
That's it.
Wow. Well, Cameron, I don't know if there's literally anything else that we could say that would make this any cooler than it already is, other than, again, thank you so much to Melissa Navia, Babs Olusen-Mokun, Anson Mount, Rebecca Romaine, Ethan Peck, Jess Bush, Celia Rose Gooding, and Chrissy Chong. We are forever in your debt.
Paramount.
And yes, thank you to the folks at Paramount for hooking us up with those sweet press credentials. I cannot wait to start promoting season 3. All we need is for production to start on season 3. So let's get that
while you're
done.
tagging cast members on Twitter, make sure you're calling the
AMPTP.
AMPT. Yep, I did.
Those
A bunch of
people.
letters with an A in it. I knew.
The number will be in the show notes.
Absolutely. All right, everybody.
I think that's going to do it for us this evening. So this has been Open Pike Night. I have been Jesse. This has been Cameron Harrison. Go ahead, Cam. You want to do your own read?
This is Cameron.
Perfect.
This has been Cameron.
And you can go anywhere you want, but you can't stay here. It feels kind of powerful to read John's lines. Like,